What's up, guys? Welcome back to Par Street. So today's a little bit different, not an update video. Today actually we're going to be going a little bit in depth. I finally got Chandler kind of locked down and we got to get some information out of him. So
you even made me bring a change of clothes today.
Look, you even wore a nice shirt.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it's great.
I'm glad to do this.
You see what we did? We're going to get you guys some information about how to actually invest. I know a lot of you guys ask all the time, like, okay, well I see it and I've maybe seen on TV, you do all these methods and whatever, but how do you really do it? So that's what we're gonna find out today, guys. So stick around and we're gonna show it to you now. Let's do it. So how do you search for properties? Like, I know you're a realtor, you're an agent, so you use the MLS, but like, other than that, how can you or how do you actually find your properties?
Right, so of course we use the generic Zillow, MLS, Realtor.com.
Yeah.
So sticking with those at first, MLS, a major tool that I use is Hot Sheets. It's a notifications bar. All realtors, you can put it in public remarks or realtor remarks when you're doing your hot sheets. And just a few that I use is Fixer Upper. Price reduction is one of my favorites because, you know, what does that tell me?
Yeah, it means you're motivated.
Motivated seller, that's what we look for.
Sure.
So, you know, in the hot sheets, so what that does, if realtors don't know, or investors that have realtors should mention this to them, is every time a property is listed, or every time a property has a price reduction or fixer-upper, any kind of remark that you put in that box and it pops up in a listing, it automatically sends your email. Last year I think I got 3 deals off of Hot Sheets. So we'll get into more of that off-market, on-market deals later on in this interview. But
awesome.
MLS is good. But aside from those, you know, my biggest thing is, and I always tell you this, is network.
Right.
When I first got into this real estate business, you know, I became a realtor. Quickly found out I wanted to do more. I wanted to, you know, be an investor basically. So I went out and I networked, and you know, so by doing that and then going into how I search for properties is planting seeds basically in other people that, hey, I'm an investor, I'm looking for properties, right?
Yeah.
So it's your contractors. My contractors work for me, they work on my houses, but they also work for me in a different way. They look for houses for me. Hey, they gotta paint a house, they gotta do tiling, they gotta do drywall, do a bathroom remodel, you know, and it's, why are they doing that? Are they doing it to sell? I coach my contractors, you know.
Yeah. That's awesome.
My contractors love me, man. I take them out to dinner. You know, this year I want to take them on a cruise. I want them to own equity this year in one of my flips, you know.
That's awesome.
So, of course, you know, when they go in, I teach them, I say, hey guys, go into these houses. If you're bidding a job, just say, hey, are you guys planning on selling? You know, if for some reason, and most of the time, sometimes they do say yes. And it's, well, hey, I have a guy, right? I got a guy, cash buyer, close in 14, 20 days.
Yeah.
No realtor commission, save that 4.5%, 6%, which is huge, which always gets them, and pay closing costs, you know? So it's planting seeds in different people, your friends, your family, just like being a realtor, man. You know, hey, tell everyone I'm a realtor. You ever need to sell or buy?
Yep. Same thing.
Hey, I'm an investor. I buy cash. You know, I mean, everyone sees these houses or the signs out on the side of the road. You know.
Yeah.
I'm a cash buyer, you know, whatever. You know. Yeah. I mean, hey, it's a way, but it's a little flooded. It's a whole different subject.
So I like that, and actually that kind of takes me into the next question we have was, how do you find your contractors?
Right.
Like, where do you get them? Because as you probably found out, they're
tough,
hard to
man.
come by.
It's tough.
The ones you trust.
Yeah.
Like, and how do you? So where do you find them? You just go on and Craigslist, Angie's List, all these lists out there. Like, what do you do?
Chandler's List.
Yeah, exactly. We need to have Chandler's List. So how did you go about it? I mean, Facebook, friends, stuff like that, or what? Like, what do you do?
So it's been 4 years since I've been doing this, and I've had one group that have stayed the same the whole time. That's my plumbers.
Nice.
Plumbers are awesome, right?
Okay.
Everyone else, has just gone
Cycle.
through. It's still, you know, I mean, now I got a great painter, handyman.
Yeah.
Bill's Handyman Painting Services. He's great.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and then, but you know, it's treating them right, like I said. Sometimes, like I said, I take them out to dinner. You know, this year I'm going to do a cruise for my contract. Well, I don't know if that's going to happen.
Yeah, well.
But, you know, it's treating them right, but also drawing the fine line of, you know, not being taken advantage of it.
Right.
Because there's a friendship involved, but, you know, there's also business, which a lot of people always tell me, but I don't like to listen to people. So,
Yeah.
you know, everyone told me not to get into real estate and flipping, it's dangerous, blah, blah. But, you know, they say you don't want to be too friendly with your contractors, but you know, I want to make it a friendship. Like I always say, I want to build an empire. You know,
Right.
and I need you guys. I need my contractors.
Yeah.
I need them to not only work for me on my jobs and trust them, but
Right.
go out there and recruit for me. You know,
Yeah.
give me more houses, because the more houses you guys find me, the more work is for you. You know.
And at the end of the day, they're just people.
Right.
They're just people too, so
They
you gotta
are.
treat them like one. So
But
that's
watch
good.
out, because they can screw you.
Yeah, well, you got to be careful, obviously, but I mean, getting out there and finding and networking with some of the good ones, or using word of mouth, or looking from other people like yourself. Because like, if I needed a contractor, I'm definitely gonna ask you and say
Right.
like, who's good that I
Yeah.
can trust.
And
So,
it's just going to take trial and error, guys. Don't feel down on yourself. Don't get down when you have a contractor mess up something or overcharge you, and you're like, oh my God, I could have paid that much for
Right.
it. I could have done that. Hey, you're learning. I mean, you
Right.
know,
it's all a curve, all
Yeah.
a learning curve.
you
Yeah.
win or you learn is what I love saying. You know,
It's true.
as long as you don't give in, you don't sell yourself and say I lost or get down on yourself.
Yep.
Take it as a lesson, if anything. You
Yeah,
know, like,
for
hey,
sure.
I learned, man.
Yeah.
You know, hopefully it's a cheap lesson.
Yeah,
Not too
but,
expensive.
but did you die? No, but you learned something. Your opinion, Chandler, what do you think is best, flipping or renting? I know you do both.
Yeah.
And let's say you're just starting out or something
Well,
like
there's
that.
wholesaling too, you know, which I do a little bit of.
Right.
But
But let's say you're
it's-
just starting out, you don't really know a lot, you're just getting in your feet wet, and
Right.
you're looking to make some money. Is it based on the deal? Is it based on each
Exactly.
property?
You said it right there, man.
Good deal.
It depends on the deal. You
Okay.
know, I mean, and your goals. What are you trying to do as
Right.
an investor? Are you trying to build a rental portfolio? You
Okay.
know, or are you trying to flip and get, you know, your max capital out of it? You
Right.
know, like return. So it depends. I mean, we can go and get a property if we get it at a good enough price and we have enough equity in it.
Yeah.
You know, we can do the BRRRR method. We
Okay.
could buy it low, put a little bit of money into it.
Right.
Right.
Renovate it.
Renovate it for a little bit of money.
Okay.
Get tenants in there, rent it out.
Yep.
Refinance, pull your cash back out. And if you're cash flowing and you're positive,
And then rinse and repeat.
and the people forget, you're getting your cash back.
Right.
So repeat, do it again. You know,
doing
keep
it.
going, keep
Yeah.
going. But you know, it's in today's market, it's hard to find. I mean, in Central Florida, you know, it's kind of hard to find some BRRRR method properties.
Right.
But they're out there. You just gotta, you know, keep hustling, man.
Just gotta
That's
look
all
for
it is, you know.
Okay.
And then, you know, flipping. It's tough. I think every real estate investor should flip. I mean, I did it. My first time was flipping
Yeah.
and getting into it, you know, and learning. It took 11 months, man. Like my first flip, it
That's
was.
crazy.
But I learned so much, and I just,
Well-
man, Justin Stamford, thank you, brother. You
Yeah.
the man, because getting with you, man, you set that seat off in my head, and
Well, let's get into that.
You
So
know.
one of the biggest questions I get asked is, like, how do I start? Let's say you have a little bit of capital put together. Let's say you've got 10, 20,
Right.
30, $50,000, whatever, but that's not enough to buy a full property. So how do you do that? I mean, do you go to like a seminar and you meet people, or
That's funny,
do
yeah.
you like buy a course online on it, or you watch the YouTube
did you
videos?
read my bio, man?
Yeah, I did. I read your Facebook.
Yeah, so I mean, I'll tell you my story very quick. I was in the nuclear business, so I was traveling a lot, and had my first daughter, Adriana, and I couldn't travel anymore. I had to be home, right, with my daughter and wife. So I decided, I was like, I need to do something back home. I need to get something. I always had a kind of niche or itch,
Yeah.
however you want to call it, for real estate. And so I became a realtor, quickly found out, hey, this is not really what I want to do as a realtor. I saw the investing side. I met another buddy of mine, Derek Farah. Shout out to you too, brother, for really planting another seed in my head, and was like, hey man, there's this conference in town called Fortune Builders, you know? And I was like, all right, cool, I'll go check it out. I'm interested in investing. And went to there, you know, they try to sell you all their software and whatnot, but you know, just getting there, I learned the process, learned some ins and outs, and I was like, man, if I could put my own twist on this and make my own niche on how to do it,
Right.
you know, let's do it. So, but again, it came down to, hey, I had $10,000-$15,000 in the bank, right? Just had a daughter, and I was like, ooh, this is gonna be tough. But I was like, luckily, me and my wife were very blessed to get our house at a great price about 7 years ago, and we have some equity in it. So we decided to pull out $50,000 in equity, right? So we had $65,000 to play with. Still not enough. How are you gonna buy a house cash?
Right, you can't pay cash.
How are you
for
gonna
that.
finance when you just pull out a home equity? You know,
Plus
like
renovations.
so it's tough. So it goes back to networking and finding it. So I reached out, and my buddy Derek introduced me to the guys from Zombie House Flipping, Ashley Casserly and Justin Stanford, who own Blueprint Real Estate Groups. Phenomenal people, great teachers. You know, they were awesome, and they. I went with them and I said, hey guys, I have $65,000. What can we do? I want to get started. I want to rock and roll with this, you know. So we did it. I went in with Justin. Like I said, it was a hell of a deal, but mainly probably because it was my first deal, right?
Right.
11 months, but literally we went from termites from tenting the house to a roof caving in from a load-bearing wall to the city shutting us down to splitting the lot to selling to a builder. So I mean, it was very, you know,
You learned a lot,
it was, you know, very educational. So 11 months, and we still made 40 grand each. Well, I was like, oh my God, I made a teacher's salary, in, you know, in less than a year, and I learned so much. I mean, what's that value on that? You can't put value on that. You know, I mean,
Well,
fortune builders probably wanted 200,000 for something like that. You know?
Probably, and it's
So-
taking you where you are now.
Exactly,
Today.
man.
So
And
it's
so
right
from that
here.
property, I just went bam, 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 and it's scaled unbelievably. And I give it all credit to networking. I mean, you know, this house we're sitting at now, I mean, great guy I met, and I bought the house from him and took him out to lunch.
Yeah.
And you know, I said, hey man, I know you get some money for this property. Let's do some other work. Told him what I was doing, and you know, now we have a great partnership, relationship, and you know, and that's just one of the few that I have going now,
Right.
and it's great, man. So just
That's awesome.
network.
Awesome. All right, so I know you're a realtor, obviously, and you can sell properties yourself, but what do you think is like the best way to go about selling a property? Is it getting with a realtor? Is it for sale by owner? Like, what do you think is the best way to sell your property once you've done flipped it and you're about to ready to put on the market?
Can I answer that in one word?
Sure.
High.
High? Way up here?
Yeah.
Sell high, buy low?
Yeah.
I like
Yeah.
it.
No, I mean, yeah. So obviously we're realtors, so we
Yeah.
can sell our own properties. But if you're not a real estate agent, right? There's different options. Definitely get it on the MLS one way or another. Somehow
For
get it
sure.
on the MLS.
Yeah.
I mean, what are the statistics? You know, for sale by owner.
So,
versus-
yeah, NAR puts out that they sell about 11% less than the average
11%, right.
realtor for that area, just by going with a realtor. So you're gonna pretend to save that money because you're like, oh, well, I don't have to pay out a commission. However, you might not have negotiated the best price. You might not have marketed the best. Like,
Right.
you never know. So the average is about 11% by selling yourself. So I definitely, again, we do recommend being realtors. Obviously, we're a little biased, but it's the best way to go. And everybody's out. Every buyer's on the MLS.
Right.
And so you're gonna have all of that buyer potential on the MLS,
Yeah.
and you want to get that in front of people. So definitely listen with an agent. But again, there's also ways that you can do it as an investor. I mean, you can work out a deal with a local agent.
Yeah, you
Network with
can. So
investors.
right. I'm a realtor myself, and I have realtors working for me too, looking for deals, right? So,
Yeah.
you know, and I'm not going to go to a realtor and say, hey, list my property. Obviously, I'm going to list my own. Well, it depends. Liability issues. There's some stuff that comes in play
True.
there, but that's it. We could go into that in a different video.
Yeah.
But you know, it's getting on the MLS and having an agent, or just doing, like, there's limited service out there, right? So you could pay whatever, $250, $350, $450 to just put it on the MLS.
Yeah.
But you're not gonna have that agent working for you, you know? Or who's gonna negotiate? Who's gonna do it? Don't get me
Show the
wrong.
house.
You can still do it. I mean, you're on the MLS, and hey, it might work.
I think it depends on your experience level for sure, because
Right.
it's not. I mean, again, this is something we do on a daily basis. I'm watching the market. You're watching the market every
Yeah.
single day. We know what's going on. We also negotiate constantly, so it is something that we do. So I guess it would be
It's the
based on your
experience level, because
Yeah.
I know investors that do that. They pay the $350 just to get on the MLS.
Yeah.
Some are even $190. You know, it's crazy.
It's crazy.
And that's all they do, and they negotiate themselves.
Right.
I might do that, honestly. You know,
Yeah.
not to have the liability of some of my own properties.
True.
So-
Very true. When you buy or you're looking for properties, let's say you found a couple that you're interested in, you found them online, wherever you got them. how do you figure out how to budget properly, or how do you know how much money you want to pull out? Is there a certain number? Are you trying to get a certain percentage almost out of every deal? And that the way you calculate it, do you calculate it ahead of time and then you go see the properties? How do you kind of budget out? How do you get that price point?
Yeah, so I always look for at least a 20, when I'm flipping, at least a 20% return on it.
Okay,
You know?
somewhere around 20%
Yeah,
you try to pull.
it's tight nowadays. Central Florida, the market. I mean, everything.
Yeah.
Everything going on now. There's some deals out there. Like I just picked up a killer deal on Conway Gardens.
Right,
So.
but you still want to try to be around that 20%, even if it's like 15 or 17%.
Yeah.
But you want to be right around the 20%. So what you do is you look at your calculations and you kind of find, okay, you got this property at X price, and you're trying to pull out some dollars now. How do you get an estimate for what you think it's going to cost? I mean, obviously experience now.
Yeah.
But when you first started,
When you're first going in, I mean, there's things you want to look at. I mean, I always budgeted at least 10% extra on rehab cost. You know,
Okay.
Major issues that I find are electrical. Electrical always ends up, costing more. My plumbers are amazing, so their price is their price, and it's usually great. But you got to look into that. You could go from just looking into a couple valves being replaced, or or just trimming out, and then you're like, oh shoot, I need to go and do a replumb.
Right.
So, but as an investor, you'll learn you should know, look for polybutylene, look for aluminum wiring.
Right.
Those types of things. Am I going to need to rewire? Am I going to need to replumb?
do you bring a contractor out, or do you kind of get estimates beforehand?
When I first started, I did.
Right.
I brought a contractor just to get the knowledge and learn. But now I don't even hire an inspector now. Well, I do hire inspectors only for one reason, and that is to get a formal report and to drop down the price during inspection.
Right.
Because that's how you guys make money. That's a little secret there.
Yeah, we'll go over that in another video too, for sure.
But
you want to, because you didn't know back then what granite countertops cost. You didn't know what the cabinets are going to cost on a rough estimate. Now, obviously, you can just run numbers kind of in your head and know roughly, okay, this kitchen's going to cost this, the bathrooms are this, the floors are this. Exactly. And you just see the But before that, you would get with a contractor, I guess you trust, kind of get some estimates, and then figure out, and then try to pull out that around 20%.
Exactly.
Okay.
So I would do that, and then just a couple tidbits to point out too is a lot of investors or people getting into flipping forget about the the running cost of it. They don't factor in the utility bill, the water bill. I mean, if there's a pool, exactly, man.
Air conditioner.
It all adds up.
During the renovation and stuff like that.
You think it's $100 here, $100 there.
Well, like you said, your first deal you did 11 months. 11 months times how much it costs per month to keep the house there.
Not only utilities, think about taxes. I mean, this place we're sitting right now, $8,400 a year in taxes.
Oof.
Yeah. My utility bill is $400 a month. I mean, it adds up.
It does. That's true. That is definitely something that a lot of people forget when they're getting into it.
So there's your running costs, and then you have your closing costs, which are typically normal, but some people forget. Hey, I have my realtor. I do my limited listing or whatever. You have your realtor fee, but then you also have
closing.
Your closing costs, and which
couple $1,000 it can be.
2%. I mean, it's crazy. So
you're right.
It's a lot to factor in. There's a lot to go on. If you guys ever have any questions on the whole budgeting and kind of costs that go into it, kind of unknown costs, reach out to me. I know a lot of you guys have taken me out to lunch, and thank you for that. I learned from you guys too. So, but if you guys ever need any questions and stuff, reach out to me.
Definitely comment those questions too, for sure. When it comes down to highest and best, what do you recommend? Because they might be coming across this when they start getting into investing. And you're going to hear, all right, bring in your offers. I know you're an investor, whatever. Highest and best.
Right. It's tough, man. Highest and best, it's so frequent nowadays, especially when properties just hit the market. Yep. You kind of stay away from them, but I've also had deals that I picked up highest and best. So just a short, to answer your question in a few words, is get to know the selling realtor. Be nice. Ask questions, offer. I'm a realtor, so there's unethical things, and I don't want to get into it, but there's, if you're just a homeowner, I mean, you can go and say, hey, you can keep my side of the commission, take my commission, both sides, realtors love that, but on the other side, they're supposed to show their clients all the other offers, but there's ways to get around it in highest and best, and there's tricks and trades, and still being ethical.
So that's another question. How do you know that they've seen your offer?
That's a great question, man. I love that, because that happens a lot. I feel what we do as investors, and we're always trying to get the best price, right? So people call it lowballing. You're lowballing offers, which is true. But a lot of some agents get offended, and they become dicks. You know, you're like, hey man, like I'll just submit an offer. You know, you take
Right.
it or leave it. Can I get some feedback? And not only how do you know if the seller sees it, but how do you get that counter? Right? We know that counter offer is huge. Like, what are we trying to get?
Right.
Trying to get our price. We're trying to get that counter. Right? We're trying to get any kind of reduction we can. So just to get around that, I mean, it takes. And my buddy, I sat with Randy Fontenez, man. You brought this up. We had a house that we were trying to bid on, and we offered, and the agent wouldn't give it. He's like, no way. You know, they want this. You know, we can kind of tell. We're like, this guy's kind of being a prick.
Yeah.
You know, like we know
He doesn't
this
wanna play
seller won't
ball.
take it. So what do? Write up your offer. You put it in their mailbox. Go on property appraisers. You know, public record. You see where their mailing address if they don't live at the property.
Yeah.
So send a letter, formal offer, signatures, everything. Here you go. Make sure they see it. Because
Sure.
I've had a deal, 2 different occasions. One where I sent it into the owner and it ended up getting accepted, and the realtor didn't. You know, they ended up getting pissed. But
Right.
hey, you're not doing your job. Legally, agent has to show every single offer that comes through. You know.
Yeah. That's true. They have to. I mean, we're licensed, so
Right.
any offer that comes in that's in writing, we have to present it. It's part of our agreement, and
Right.
so we're liable if that doesn't happen. So, but a lot of times, not every realtor, unfortunately, is up to code, and
Right.
they don't want to play by the rules. So you're right. They could be hiding it because they want to make more commission, because they know that your offer is 20% lower or 10% lower than whatever else, and then they're gonna hide that offer. So
Yeah.
that's a good point.
So
Definitely keep an eye
do
on
whatever
that.
you can to make sure that owner sees that offer.
Yeah.
You know?
Awesome.
And go. Just go after it.
Well, Chad, I'm throwing phones here.
Try it.
No worries. Chad, I appreciate you giving us all this insight. Guys, we're actually going to be doing a bunch more videos just like this, kind of going in depth for each individual single video. So if you guys have any questions, comment below, please. And make sure you hit that subscribe button, because we're going to be putting out a lot more videos just like this, and we're going to go a lot in depth. So let's break down some more of the videos later with
Yeah.
a lot of those questions that
Right.
they have also.
Yeah, thanks
So-
guys. I appreciate you tuning in. Like you said, you guys have any questions, just reach out to me. I'll definitely make time for you. Getting a couple houses onto the market here, so I'll have a little more time. But we do have about, like, I think if we pick up the 8-unit place, we're gonna have probably 11 houses going up, so it's gonna be crazy. So
awesome.
stay tuned, guys. Reach out if you have any questions or you want to get involved with us.
Yeah.
And like you said, subscribe to the channel. We're gonna do whatever we can to bring you the most content.
For sure. All right, guys. See ya.